we're on 7.1, which is a letter Remo regarding Remo budget allocation. Remo budget being recommended at the end of each fiscal year.
Unspent funds.
Say what, 7.1.
Remaining, yeah, anybody. That's what we're recommending.
Yeah. The Remo basically at the last meeting recommended any funding left over will be left at the budget for future problems with climate change and all this stuff.
All the other stuff. Yeah.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve the request.
Seconder?
I have a question.
Okay.
So
Well, I'll
how,
wait until we have a second.
Second.
Seconder.
so how much of reserve can they build up before they don't get it?
Normally, there's very little left.
I
Yeah,
know normally, but it's a wide open motion.
it is, but I mean, it can change from year to year. Once we get a certain amount, if it's not being spent, then we'll probably end it. You know, it's just that we want to do an analysis of roads, access points, and all kinds of stuff, so there's a variety of things on the table.
How much is the budget?
Oh, I don't remember, to tell you the truth.
What are we talking about dollar-wise? I mean,
It'd probably be $30,000-$40,000 that might be left over if we're
Oh, it
on.
wouldn't be that much, I don't think.
Well, it all depends on the year, right?
Oh, no. I don't really have a copy from me. I think you'd have to go to the budget bill. I think last year like it was $3,000 or $4,000.
Oh, yes, it wasn't much last year.
Not much.
I'd like to defer to get more information. I think it's just too wide open, personally.
Well, if you want to take a look at the budget for the last couple of years, I don't have an issue with
This is
it.
just a recommendation.
Yeah, it'd only be a recommendation to council, and we could have the information for next.
It's official.
Next.
I won't vote for it. I want more information, so.
Yeah. I'm comfortable with
I'm
it.
happy to support it. I don't think it's enough money to worry about.
It is.
But we don't know how much money it is.
It's not much.
Well, we've
I
seen
don't
the
think-
budget,
their
just I
budget
don't
didn't amount
remember
very much.
Yeah, I'm just asking for the numbers.
Well, do you move that it be approved?
And I seconded it, yes.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried.
Sorry, Derek.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Noted,
Yeah.
wasn't unanimous.
Okay, 7.2, Public Works Highway Planning Design regarding future 103 project Hubbardston Chester. Request to complete the consent form. And,
The property we own is, it must be.
well, we weren't sure why we even got the letter, to be honest with you, unless it was just for information, but I do remember that, but apparently staff checked way back when, and this was a long while ago, I thought we bought a piece right alongside of the 103. It was part of that piece, but I didn't know if when we sold the industrial park to, or what was proposed industrial park, we sold it to Carl Potter.
Yes.
So we may have sold him that piece also. I know we talked about buying it, but it's so damn long ago, I can't remember, to tell you the truth. But staff checked and we don't own it.
Don't we own land in East River near the highway?
I don't think so.
Well, see,
No, we go past for a while.
The land we bought, did we buy land from Sean Meisner?
No, we looked at that.
Staff checked and there's no adjacent land.
We don't know.
Owned by the municipality, yeah.
so we don't know why they've sent us the letter.
I would have,
I think it's because we're the municipal.
Yeah.
They sent us a consent.
it
form.
sounds like this is a tangent to this discussion, but I understand from this document that they have at least a preliminary design. Can we get that design? Because I've had a number of residents right near exit 7 that are quite keenly interested in what this interchange is going to look like. If I could get a copy of it, then I can meet with them and just
Yeah.
assuage their fears.
From the truck.
How do we access Castle Rock? I don't know.
I mean, I see cars and.
Off of the trail, I know
Off of 329.
If they twin the highway, will it interfere with that at all?
No, let's go over, it'll go over. Sure.
So that map doesn't have water.
No.
Well, let's get a plan. We get a preliminary plan.
That would be helpful,
Yeah,
because certainly exit 8 is pretty tight there where the RCMP station is. I don't know what the plans are, and
Well, we can get a copy of the preliminary plan,
Yeah.
but I mean, at the end of the day,
they're gonna do it.
yeah, well, I mean, what are we gonna do?
They do it.
We're gonna do all the survey work and tell them where we want it or what?
Well, just be nice to know if there's something that.
Okay. Well, we'll get a plan before we respond. Okay. Okay, I can't believe this, that we're on to this, are we? These are the 9.1, consideration of changes to the
7.3.
No, 7.3.
7.3? Maybe I missed that.
Stanford Lake.
Oh, yes, sorry.
Chris.
Somehow I overlooked that. Yeah. Email from Chris Campbell regarding Stanford Lake flood. It's essentially a Department of Transportation stuff, is it not? Well, the code,
Yeah.
they aren't ours, we don't own the road.
It's a province, yeah.
They're good points, though.
Yes, yes, and we should forward it on to the Department of Transportation and ask them to take a look at it and see if there's anything they can do.
And maybe put it on the agenda for our next quarterly meeting.
Yes.
Yes, which is coming right up. Well, that, maybe we can do that first.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, let's put it on the agenda for the quarterly meeting with, yeah.
Anecdotally, I gotta say that, I mean, I know it was an urgent situation, but it seemed like all we did with almost every like all cases where we had damage, we would just sort of put dirt back there and repaved it, and like, there was no, I don't know, I guess that's the discussion we're gonna have with them. Are we actually gonna make some adjustments to this infrastructure so that we don't, it's obviously quite susceptible to this flood damage, so it just seems like, just like Stanford Lake, for example, like was out very, very badly damaged, and we just added fill and graded it up, and it's like, oh, you're good now, but it's like, I don't know, it's,
Well, I don't know that, they had so much damage just trying to get it back to
I
usable.
realize that, but I mean, I don't know, what is the long-term plan here? Like,
Yeah.
Because there are some situations where it would be helpful if they had more ditching done, maybe some culverts put in, different,
I mean,
you know, maybe culverts were blocked in some areas,
well,
and then it washes out
normally
the
what
road.
happens, like when you're doing any kind of watershed analysis, is you look at the tributary area that is bringing water to, like any kind of water management thing, and then you size the infrastructure for that. And you know, we always use these 1 in 100 year storms.
Yeah.
That was the like that's the design standard, but clearly it's inadequate. So you know, are we looking now? Should we be looking at 1 in 500 year storms, whatever that is? And like, I think I'm very interested to know from Department of Transportation what is their strategy going forward. When I did put in sizing culverts and ditches and all that stuff. I mean, they obviously.
You think they'd be looking at that?
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's another good question when we, you know, have you changed your approach based on what just happened? Yeah. Now, just because Mr. Campbell wants to speak, does anyone object to that?
No.
Come on up.
Is he here? Sure.
Yeah.
Just don't read us the letter.
No, I won't.
No.
I just wanted to clarify that the road washing out was a drag, for sure, but what I was actually referring to was the lake not draining enough.
Yeah.
So we got so much water, it's happened 3
Coming
times.
down through that little brook and.
And so it made the level of the lake rise, and there's only 2 culverts that drain it. They both go under the rails to trails.
Yeah, where are you on the lake, or where?
I'm between Wanda Peterson and Dr. Dobek.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're in that low area, you're very low area.
Right, and so the first 2 floods didn't flood my house. They did flood some other houses on the lake, and this flood did flood my house.
Yeah, so how much does lake level come up? I don't know. I saw pictures, but.
I'm not a surveyor, so I don't know really where.
Just your ballpark.
I guess it's 10 or 12 feet.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Quite a bit,
so it's
yeah.
very significant.
Yeah.
So to me, it,
Well,
Your
like Vince's house and all that.
family's business throttled where it exits underneath the trail through the old.
well, no question, I mean,
rail
the lake
infrastructure.
wouldn't have risen if the water could have gotten out.
I think it's the only way out.
It is the only way,
And
yeah.
where does it go there, from there?
It goes down and goes across the road, at the Valley
Carroll
Road.
Pond.
I was gonna say, that's where.
And that was flooded.
That was
That
flooded.
was flooded too, exactly, so
So,
it would be open up that culvert, and then the problem goes downstream, so.
It probably, I mean,
Yeah.
probably was the old stone bridge that was the, ultimately, was the.
Well, yeah, 'cause
throttle.
that wasn't wide enough to let it all up, yeah.
That's where it would go out.
So, yeah,
so
it's
we gotta
a
fix it.
complex problem.
So
It is.
there's more than just Stanford Lake, it's where it all goes after.
Absolutely, yeah,
I mean,
Yeah, it's how it exits Sanford Lake and gets to the harbor.
yeah.
but I mean, it really opens our eyes as to you know, the 103 got shut down, and we gotta use the number 3.
Yeah.
That gets shut down. So next to go to is Stamford Lake Road. That's shut down. And then to go over right through the village, you take trucks. We have a problem.
Yeah.
And-
I'm not sure.
And I don't think we
Like
can.
the head fits it, but.
No, it's gotta be something seriously thought about.
Yeah. Yeah, it is, but there's,
Yeah.
you know, most certainly when it comes to any development, I mean, we'll probably have to restrict development close to those waterways now that we never would have done before.
And that's always touchy, because, you know, anytime there's a landowners adjacent to water and suddenly say, okay, this is a floodplain now, and,
Yeah,
you know, that's almost, it's borderline expropriation in their minds.
I know,
Because, you
setback
suddenly
from the ocean.
land
seemed
that
to
was
be-
developable land before becomes undevelopable, and,
Possibly uninsurable, I don't know.
yeah, that's the thing, and so it becomes really problematic.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you continue to allow development there, then if there's issues, then you're also a villain for.
Why would you allow that to take place?
Well, people should know by now with common sense, it's my,
Oh, yeah,
don't
well,
let the government figure it out for you. Do it.
Profound lack of that.
That's the way I feel. I mean, don't build there.
Anyway, we can discuss it with the Department of Transportation, but I mean, for the most part, it is theirs. You know? And when it comes to changing the brook, we can't change the brook. Well, you know what trying to change a brook means.
Who owns the culverts, who owns the rails to trails?
We own that. We can fix that trail.
So, but what about putting a culvert under?
No, that belongs to the province. We just use
We simply have a letter of authority to maintain the trail.
So the
ownership
culverts
is-
under would be the province.
They own.
We'll try with them.
In short, as I understand it, you know, they hang around here for a while, that we basically can use it, and if something breaks, we have to fix it.
Yeah. Yeah, they won't fix it, no.
Yeah.
Although,
So,
do they-
so, for example, we're doing some bridge work and stuff in other areas that were planned before all this damage. You know, I heard rumblings that maybe the provinces.
They are. They announced it
It's
yesterday.
possible they're gonna help, yeah.
They announced yesterday, it's out in the public, they're gonna, you can apply for funding for up to 100,000, 1/3 through grant.
We may be able to get
Yeah.
something done, but.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is important, Chris, because this is just the tip of the iceberg as far as the big problem is concerned. So, and I think we need to really take it seriously, within our jurisdiction, but also we can contact the province.
And see what.
But like we're just it's the old days of just like, oh, let's put a bigger culvert, and those are gone, because we have to also think, you know, in that situation, if it had there been a bigger culvert, would we just transported that problem that you guys observed
To
to
some
the
someone
next
else.
guy down the road?
Totally.
And so we don't want to like blast him with
That's why I say.
a million gallons of water either. So it will take a little study, I think, and then, you know, that might be a future project we have to look at. You know, it's probably not going to be a snap your finger thing.
Well, I think anytime we do anything nowadays, we're gonna have to take all that into consideration. But anyway, yeah. We'll start with talking to the Department of Highways when we meet with them.
Cool. I'll do the same.
Okay, it's great.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Now on to consideration, cancellation, rescheduling upcoming meetings. And there's reasons for it. September 21st Committee of the Whole, Chambers is being upgraded, so we can't use it. So,
You guys.
October 19th, Committee of the Whole, the Association of Municipal Administrators, so the staff won't be around. November 9th, Council of Nova Scotia Federation Committee of Municipalities. We won't be around. And December 21st, cancel or hold a Committee of the Whole meeting, and that's, I forget why that is, it's just,
No.
COW Council.
yeah,
Not unless we need to.
yeah.
So these are all committee of the wholes that are getting canceled off?
The November 9th is a council meeting, but that's a month with 5 Thursdays, so you could actually bump it to the 16th.
All right.
Yeah.
Because our bylaws say we need 2 council meetings per year, or per month. So beyond that, we can do whatever we want.
Other than we didn't have last one.
Well, council on the 16th then.
If we need it.
Anyway, we always hold, if something happens, we always
Yeah.
just hold an
Let's do it.
emergency meeting. But
We held one at NSFM one year.
if we have to, we have to.
Single
That's just
agenda
the way
item,
we
we
are,
held one.
yeah.
Yep.
So we're all good with that, and if something happens, we'll deal with it.
So we'll get an up, so, yeah.
You'll get an updated calendar
We'll
schedule.
need a motion anyway, because it's a council.
A motion to approve the changes?
So moved.
And this is to
Discussion.
cancel that.
Yes.
Yes.
All those in favor? Opposed, motion's carried. Okay, we're on to cell phone service.
That was my item. In short, I brought it here several times. It's the pits. And it's getting worse.
It's disgraceful.
It used to be I couldn't go to the bank and talk to anybody in Chester. You know, there was a whole bunch of discussion, I think, 4 or 5 years ago about that tower by the, that they put up next to the fire hall. And there was this group of folks that were, I don't know if they even put anything on the tower, it's just a stick.
It could be a stick.
Honestly, there's sometimes we're driving on the 103 and I can throw a rock and hit the tower and I still have no signal. I just don't understand what's happening, and you know, I think there has been, I read reports of like having emergency response issues where they had to go off the 103, or no, not the 103, the highway, I think it was 101 or something, and they were like 7 kilometers off the road and they had no signal and couldn't find the people. It's bad, and people are removing their home phones and relying on mobile service, and the quality of the service is degrading, and it continues to degrade. And you know, I know we've written letters, and I think we're going to have, it's a federal issue, and I think we need to get Rick Perkins working on this, because you know, this
Well,
is,
we've generally written the province as opposed to the feds.
but it is their issue. They're in charge of reader communications.
So why don't we express our concern to the minister responsible and also to Rick Perkins?
Sure.
Okay?
We got to do
We'll draft
something.
the letter.
This is
Is that a second?
nonsense.
We can draft, and also, we did reach out to Bill Nova Scotia because they are looking at identifying cell service gaps around the province and are looking at pulling together a strategy, so we can include them as well.
Please.
Okay.
Awful.
Okay, Derek, J-Class roads criteria.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. I don't think we're going to make a decision on this today, but I want to bring it to your attention. I had the privilege of attending a public meeting? Resident meeting, community meeting, dealing with Walker Road, Walker Cut.
Yep.
And you're all familiar with it, and Mr. Carroll is here. He was at the meeting, he chaired the meeting, and you know, I'd like if you would allow later to maybe, if you wanted to say a few words, to allow that. But what came to light in my world, you remember when we made this decision last time, Walker Road went from, I think, 5th to 50th. Mr. Carroll thinks it went from 2nd to 50th. The only records I could find in the municipality show it going from 8th to 50th. Bottom line, it dropped.
It dropped, yeah.
And part of the reason because we changed the criteria.
Yep.
After the meeting, you may recall, I asked through you to the, let's say the clerk, but it's CAO. Give us a letter, give us something so we can explain to the residents based on the new criteria, why they went from 2nd, 5th, or 8th to 50th.
Yes.
Never got that letter. I still cannot give to John Carroll and the people in Walker Road the reason the new criteria bumped them so far down the line.
Public Works should be able to provide that.
That's why I'm asking. And then it gave me cause to sort of look at our criteria and the weighting. The change we made, the significant change, was instead of having 30% to road condition, we went to 40% for road condition. And that would have told me that would not have bumped them down, it would have bumped them up. Don't know. It's a mystery to me. And a mystery, I would say, to the residents of Walker Road. came out at the meeting, I wasn't aware that we have to have our list of priorities, and I know there's some discussion ongoing outside of this on what we're gonna do with J-class roads.
Yeah,
But it's an October deadline to get our list in, I understand.
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah, and we haven't even talked about it yet, and I'm sure it's on the agenda probably next week. But I do not, as I look at this criteria more closely, I think road condition should make up more than 40%. Road condition is,
At least 50.
or more. I mean, that's why are we fixing these roads? Because of their condition. And it seems that
Well,
the,
traffic volume does have something to do
There's
with
some terrible road that nobody drives on
it.
it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
That's important too.
yeah, there are all kinds of different ones, but I think this needs to be readdressed under new lens. And I think we need that reasoning that we can explain, because 50th, you're never going to get done. I mean, we didn't even get one done.
Well, that's a bigger issue. It's like when you have 10 houses on fire and they hand you one pail of water, what do you do?
Well, if they hand you no water.
Which house is the hottest? I mean,
I understand that.
you know, this is what we have, this is the situation.
Yeah,
We have
they only-
60 J-class roads and probably at least half of them require
There's not
immediate
enough money in the
maintenance.
province.
And we got $0 from the province, and there are structural issues on the Walker Road, I understand. And we had representatives from the province, and I was there in that meeting, and they said structural issues are theirs. And that our agreement is for resurfacing roads. So when they go to put the asphalt layer, then we share that cost 50-50. And I understand in your meeting, there was some uncertainty about that.
There is still a little bit of difference of opinion between the MLA and myself about who is responsible for what.
But it's neither of yours opinion matter.
I know, but I'd like to get the definitive responsibility for province versus us. I think that needs to be,
When we meet with Mitchell next time, we'll put that in writing.
Yeah, Mitchell would, yeah.
I'm sure Danielle would like that too.
Yeah.
I bet.
Well, my understanding is if they need to widen it and do all that kind of stuff, that's their problem.
That's right.
We're only responsible for 50% of the resurfacing of
That's
whatever
right.
is
Think
there.
about it in terms of if your road had a bridge. You know,
It's
we're
not
not
our
in the
job
business
to
of building
fix the
bridges, but to continue on the thought, obviously, if they're implying that structural issues were ours, then we would be doing bridges. And we have never and will never do bridges unless something changes radically. So we don't do structure, we do resurfacing, and that's a
The
cost
width
share
of the right of way
50-50.
and all of that is their issue, not
And
ours.
there has never been a time that they've offered to do a road and we've declined to put in our 50%. We're always there wanting to do more than what they offer. So I really resent the MLA implying that somehow we're the bottleneck in this process. We are always there wanting to do more than they ever want to do on their side. And I have roads in my district that I have chronic complaints about, as you know. Just like yours, your Walker Road is my Chester Downs. And I want to satisfy those people. And I know this council is sympathetic to those people, but we can't get the other side to come to the table with their share. And it's very frustrating then to hear in the public this discussion about how we're not putting them on a list or doing something when there was $0 allocated by the province last year. That's very maddening. So I would suggest that that message should go back to the MLA. That we are here with our bag of money waiting to resurface roads. Please bring yours and let's do some roads.
And there's lots of years where we've done way more than our share just because they didn't spend the money somewhere else. That's Sharon, or no, Tina.
It's okay, it's okay. Abdallah does.
I'll let you speak after a bit.
That's okay. Now to go from there. But I just want to mention about the criteria. And in my recollection, and it could be incorrect, with not having a J-class road in the district in which I reside and represent, as you know, because I know it came up at the Walker Road meeting, I was told that there are no J-class roads in District 6. So my recollection, in terms of arriving at that criteria, staff brought it back more than once
Yeah.
to our table as
We
counselors.
approve.
So
Yeah, we
staff are not to wear that, we are to wear that in terms of arriving at that list.
We're not asking anyone to wear anything, to look for information.
Well, I'm wearing it as a counselor. So if we don't agree now, I'm not going to deflect that, I'm going to wear that because we agreed to that over a period of a number of years. In terms of list, priority, how we arrived at within those criteria. So that we're wearing.
If you want to change it, we can.
It's our
Yes.
criteria, that's why I bring it up. I want to review it.
Okay, we'll put it back on the agenda and
Yep.
review it.
But here's in my feeling about this, if we do this sometimes, I feel as a defense so that, let's say you have a number of competing interests. You say, okay, well, we're just gonna make a formula and then wherever the cards fall, that's what the decision is gonna be. And then that, as a politician, that becomes our defense. It's like, well, I just left it to the process. It wasn't really my call, but it is our call.
Yes, it is.
Because we set up the process. Really, in each one of our areas, when we have J Plus roads, we know in our hearts which ones need to be addressed and which ones don't. And it may not have to do with condition
Criteria.
or how many school buses drive down there, whatever. We just know which are the ones that are the most important to the people that live in that community.
Oh, we can get rid of the criteria and
To
do
be
it by
honest with you,
politics.
I would be happy to do that. I think you supported me
I
last
did,
time.
I said, here's my solution.
And I didn't support it.
Because, well, that's
You
okay.
didn't.
I have the second most J-class roads in my district other than Chester.
Okay, so I got the most.
So you have the most. So, and Andre
I have
has,
one.
so what my suggestion is, we get to pick 10 roads, right, to
Just
submit. We each pick 2. And we can fight about shit. Tina
Deciding
doesn't have any in her district.
No.
And I think that's a fairly
It's
good.
our money too, that you're spending.
Yes, of course.
So,
Yes, but leaving it, like Andre said, I know which ones in my district from my people. You do, you do, you do,
I only
and
have.
Floyd does. One.
I only
So I think that's the way I would propose to do it.
Or however we do it, it doesn't even matter. I mean, I think that this council is sympathetic to one another enough
Yes.
that we could actually have an open dialogue about where the pain's coming from. And let's be honest, yeah, we all are, it's parochial and we have our districts, but those are artificial constructs. We still all live in the same municipality and we still travel the same roads. I really don't,
I drive on all of them.
Yeah.
I don't actually feel like I don't have sympathy for the people on Walker Road, even though that you get the phone calls. It doesn't mean that, I still have to drive back there too. So
What do you want to do?
So like, when the time comes to have the debate, I'd rather just discuss it and just try to come up with some sensible list, and that would be fine.
Yeah. John Carroll, you guys mind if he has something to say?
All right, I got 2 other things to ask after.
Well, thank you.
How much I-
Good morning, everyone.
Hi, John.
As Derek mentioned, we had a residents meeting, and I think 35 out of 37 residents attended the meeting, so there's a concern.
I want to tell you, John, before you finish, it was the most respectful public meeting I've been to since I've been on council. It was
It should be, yes.
really
He's pretty good at running.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, but the people were.
Nothing's accomplished by fighting. You have to have meaningful discussion, obviously, to go ahead. And one of the things that we weren't aware of is the criteria, how we got relegated from up at the top of the list down to almost the bottom. So nobody's ever explained that to us. So that caused consternation within the residents group. And during our discussions that evening, came to light that one of the things missing from the criteria of selecting roads is safety.
That could be.
It's not there.
But the reason for that, John, is because our job is for resurfacing. So if there's
I
safety
understand that,
issues,
but you have to choose
no.
the roads that you submit to the province. You have a list.
If there's safety issues, that's the underlying structure.
Yep.
Like, we're talking about
No,
surfacing.
Andre, what I'm talking about is the surface. Is that during the winter months, there's so much over the ground runoff because there's no drainage into the ocean to let the water off the bank, that it runs over the road surface. During the daytime, it freezes at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and that's the surface of the road, and that's dangerous because it's a river of ice.
But it's
And I can name,
How does it get there?
But ditching and all that stuff, that's all like outside. Like,
I get that part, and as a frustration for the residents, is we get pushed from pillar to post. Oh, that's the province's responsibility. Oh, no, that's the municipality. You have to get them, i.e. council, to put Walker Road on the list of recommended roads to be repaired. If you do that, we'll deal with it, but if it's not on the list, we can't tell them to put it on the list.
Yeah, but I'm here recognizing your intelligence, and that you can, you know that we don't ditch roads, we don't have trucks. Those
well aware
other
of
trucks that drive around, they don't say municipality of Chester, they say the province of Nova
But
Scotia.
they won't react. They told us, Derek was sitting there, they told us, put it on the list and watch us react.
They who?
They, the MLA.
That's right, that's where you're getting the wrong information.
Well, but she was at the meeting,
I
and
know
she and
she
Derek
was.
had discussion.
I know, I'm telling you, you have the wrong information from that person.
That, you're telling me that she
That structural issues are not the responsibility of the municipality.
didn't say it was the
No,
responsibility.
I think, and I've heard her say that if you guys would put it on the list and wanted it resurfaced, we would do
Yes.
she would look after getting the.
That's what I heard at the
structural
meeting.
part done. Now, I've heard her tell me that, that's all I can say.
If it gets bad.
Whether it's possible for her to do it, that's,
Well, she won't do it unless it's on the list.
No.
I heard that.
yeah.
So you folks have to help us. We have a safety issue, and I'm pleading with you yet again to please put Walker Road as a priority. It's a safety issue. We've had a bank cave in, which is part of the drainage, no doubt.
They could go ditch that next week.
Yeah, you are.
The province could go
they
and
could.
ditch that next week, just like any other bank.
Yes, they
in
could.
this province.
But
that's
they
adjacent
won't
to it.
until you request it from them.
We don't request any other roads be ditched.
Well, I'm just,
So why is it Rock Road?
I'm only telling you what I heard, folks.
I know.
And
but I'm telling
I
you
need
the
your
facts.
support to get the province to move on this. I have to have your support.
I would suggest, all our meetings are open.
Yeah.
I would suggest that maybe you may wish to attend in the gallery when we meet with the province.
I'd love to.
We can
Wednesday.
advise you of the time.
Let me know what it is, I'll be
And
there.
then when we discuss that directly with the area manager,
Yep.
then you can hear it right from the horse's mouth.
I've walked the road with the district manager, and he agrees, there's a need. There's a lot of crossroad, under the road drains
But I want
that are
to,
not working.
I want to nail this down. If we have to somehow put you on a list, we'll do that. I mean, if it was as simple as putting you on a list, we would do it and you'd be ditched, but it's not that. Obviously, if it were that easy,
How do we
you
get
would have done it.
there? If you all agree that Walker Road should be a priority based on safety, nothing else at this point,
I'm not saying that you're number one on the list.
I didn't say I was number one, I said I'd like to be.
Well, there's the problem, and that's why, so Derek could pick two roads, you could pick Walker Road, whichever other, you could pick two roads, I could pick two.
And then the province chooses which one.
And then the province chooses, I don't, what makes that so difficult?
Bottom line is, if I had to pick two roads.
Yes.
I mean, I would go back with my.
Well, we have to
my
pick
number-
based on criteria,
my
and that's
number
our
one.
policy at the moment.
But you need safety in your criteria, sorry,
And
Derek.
that's why Pig Loop is still my number one priority, and under the criteria, it's very, not even close to number two, it is number one.
Well, there you go.
And you.
It's my argument, you can pick it. and put it on the
But
list.
if you consider the safety factor, if you go off of Pig Loop Road in the ditch, the worst you're gonna have is a dented fender. You go off the road to Walker Road, and you could be drowned.
Yeah, but I think the issue is, Big Loop, if you've walked it, you could get mowed down. There's no place to
Daycare,
go.
rink, I mean, that is where all the kids are walking up and down.
Yeah, it's very dangerous.
It's a very, very busy road.
You're not
Okay,
going,
we're not
you
gonna
haven't got
solve-
the market cornered on safety.
Tina?
Just have a question. So with the weather event that we had, the second or third weekend of July, I know that the province has been doing a tremendous amount of work, repair work, maintenance work and repair work around just around the entire municipality would be my guess. I can only give everywhere. So with the weather event that we had in July, being a resident of Walker Road and driving that road daily, I bet, what work have they done? I'm just out of curiosity in terms of maintenance and repair based on that. Okay, so that bothers me a bit because I know.
Bothers us a lot. The only way we've got our road opened, we called and said that there's been a cave in, the road's covered in mud, it's impassable. One of our neighbors had some landscaping being done, and he instructed his contractor to go to the cave-in and clean the road off to make it passable, which the resident paid for. The local contractor cleared the road off, made it passable. The road was left covered in mud, but passable. I employed a contractor because I called the province and asked if they would send their sweeper truck to clean up so we could get through. And they said, good luck with that. It could be a year to a year and a quarter. And with that, I hired a contractor from Truro with a broom, a power broom, and I paid for them to sweep the mud off the road so we could get in and out safely.
So I know we're talking J-class roads, criteria, priority list and all that, but for me, a takeaway from today's discussion is just that knowledge, in that the province has done, again, a tremendous amount of work that I've witnessed around the province, around the areas of impact, from my witnessing, but they've done nothing on Walker Road.
Nothing.
From the weather event?
Oh, what's interesting is.
No, residents did it themselves.
Very
But
interesting.
we didn't request that they fixed any of those other roads.
No, they
Oh, no,
just
we
did it.
And they
Oh,
just
no,
went and did
that's
it.
right.
But for some reason, its insinuation is that we have to somehow tell them to do Walker Road.
Which we shouldn't.
We didn't have to tell them to do any other road, they just did it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
So,
So
but
I see that it's a flaw in
you
this
can
whole
understand
story.
my frustration that I don't know where to go.
But think about it, why, does that make sense to you?
Well, I don't run that department, so I'm sure they have assets that were required elsewhere that were more important to them.
Yeah, I guess, but that somehow they need us to direct them to this one road, but all the other roads,
Well,
they're able to repair.
Be that as it may, Andre, with due respect, we were told by the MLA, who's the province's representative,
Yeah.
we were told, put Walker Road on your list and watch me go.
I would suggest that.
So
information is
if it's not a big
not-
deal, if you can put that together and request that on a safety basis, you want them to come in and do something with Walker Road, I know that we've got a good chance of have something happening. If we do nothing, same old, another 6 years.
Because the very least, sounds like it should be ditched properly. I mean, it should be resurfaced, yes, but at very least, it should be ditched
Well, even if-
properly.
I recall the presentation that was made by some residents, and there was discussions about how the shoulder was falling into the harbor.
That should be
And
fixed.
And it gets worse.
Yes, and I understand that, and I remember the discussion about the structural issues, and that they had to be done, and then we could do the
Well,
resurfacing.
yeah, because if they don't do that.
No, I would never support resurfacing unless that was done. It's a
Well,
waste of money.
the resurfacing is a secondary issue at this
Yes.
point. Safety is the primary issue.
Yeah.
And if we don't get this done, we're going to have a catastrophe. I'm telling you folks, we're going to have a
We can
catastrophe.
certainly
Well, I
add to
can't
the
wait
list
for the
when we
meeting.
meet with the Department of Transportation, which is
Great.
coming right up. And we'll send you an invitation.
Yeah, it's
Thank
within the next
So
couple
do
of
I have your commitment that it will go on the list?
It's on the list
I
somewhere.
can't,
You can't do that until we change the criteria,
No.
We have the criteria set.
We're coming up with a new list in October presumably.
yeah.
And that's why I want to have the criteria changed, so we hopefully can move
I'll
on.
change it to what I suggest.
So we're gonna put the criteria on our council agenda,
Absolutely.
but I mean, we just changed it, so.
But safety has to be added. There's oversight, I'm sure, but
Yeah,
safety has to be part of that criteria.
Well, in my way, it's not my district, but I would, if Derek, and I'd say that Walker Road and Big Loop, those would be the two roads, but you know your area. I know my
I
area.
also want the commons.
Well, then you have to make
Well,
those.
if we're gonna make it politics instead of all this criteria, then we have to change
Well,
it.
John, you know, John